Here's a little sneak preview for, again, next week's video. New axle, old hub, put it on there, too big.
Alrighty, so today in the shop we have the Quad Master. As you can see, the power is staying on even with the key removed. So I'm not sure if water got down in here, messed it up. This ignition was very shoddy even when I first got it. So it likes to spin around. I don't know if you can see down in there. But even if you pull the key out a little bit, you can see this whole thing likes to spin around and move around. It's always been kind of shady. So you can tell they replaced it because somebody lost the key. So I'm going to go through. I bought this off of Amazon. Going to replace it. Hopefully this fixes all the issues that I have. Also, got a new belt for it because the belt seems to be a little slippery. Get a little bit of slip out of the belt. Not sure if it's the belt or maybe the clutch needs to be cleaned up. I believe I have some brake clean and stuff, some parts cleaner, and clean that all up. So I'm going to start off with changing out the ignition, and then I'll move on to replacing the belt. Hopefully everything will go smooth and we'll be good, but you know how these things go. Catch you in a minute. Alright, well, you can see where the original plug was. You see where the original connector should have been. They went through and wired it all up like that, which sucks. This one looks pretty much similar to the one I got. Little differences, but we'll have to cut these and see what happens, I guess. Alright, so found my wire cutters. Give all these guys a good snip here. I'm going to do them one at a time because I don't know why this is still giving power. Turn this on, and we got light. Let's see, battery's still too dead to do anything. Turn it off. All my lights go out. Everything seems a-okay. So I do have. You saw me start putting the wiring together. I have these connectors here. They're just heat shrink connectors with a low heat solder, and they work good for most applications. It was fighting me in here because I still had that cover on, and then I didn't want to pull it off because I didn't want to have to fight it back through the wires and everything. But I said screw it and ripped it out anyway. So, and also too, you can see there's an extra wire here coming down. And that wire This wire here I have running to the power when the switch is on, and it comes up for the brake light switch. So because this is an older model machine, they didn't come with brake lights on them. They didn't come with a brake light switch. So when you turn the lights on, all you had was just your running lights. We were going on our ride, and I didn't like that I only had running lights. So I went through and installed the brake light switch. And I had installed, turn this off real quick. I drilled out the back of the bolt, the housings, and I had used these little LEDs. So they're nice and bright. I bought them on Amazon for a pack for another project that I was doing. But I'd taken one of these and put one in each housing. So I had a brake light switch. Granted, it is only hooked up to the front brakes. So, I mean, that part kind of sucks. So if you're using your rear brakes, it's not hooked up. I am going to look into hooking it up to the rear brake. Either the foot or the hand. Most likely the foot, because that's probably going to be the easier route. So if anybody was wondering why there's this random wire that runs down into here, that's what it's for. So I'm going to go through, put this cover back on, install the switch, and button that up, and then we'll get to working on the belt. All right, so I got everything hooked back up for the electrical, clean that stuff up. So now it's time to move on to the belt. Really, I've only seen one video online for the Quad Master for the belt change. In that video, the guy didn't remove either of the plastics here, but I know he had removed the running board, essentially. So, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to remove both of these and the running board. I figure that'll make my life easier trying to pull that out of there. And I could be wrong, but I'm going to get at it and hopefully it all goes good. So, got all the bolts out. We're back here and a footrest. So we're going to pull this bad boy out. All the bolts I took out of here were for knot, because this front fairing wraps up underneath under the tire, it would be way too difficult to do all that. What I have noticed though is that where the stock bolts go, the front two here are both broken off, it looks like. Either that or they lost. Nope, they're broken off. And then the one out here is broken off. So I get to decide if I want to drill them out, do it right, or do I leave it and just kind of say it was fine the way it was. This one here was fine. This front one here, let's see if I can show you. So this one here was fine. This one's broken off. This one's broken off. And this one back here is broken off. What they had done is they'd run a bolt right through here and into, through the running board here. You see where the old washer was sitting here. They ran it straight through here into here to hold it in place. Which worked. I mean, I'm not going to complain about it. I know this machine is pushing 20 years old, 21 years old. So I'm hoping that I don't have to remove the brake lever. But I believe I do to get all this off. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to take the 2 bolts out here, which look like 9/16. Take these out, drop this foot peg down so it's out of the way. And then I'll get back to pulling this cover off, which consists of 10 millimeters for the vent here. You've got 2 straps, one here and one here, that are both Phillips. So that'll come right off. This tube will come off once those are loosened. So I'll probably only loosen the top one. Take out the 4 10 millimeter bolts, and then pop this whole piece off, and then we'll get a good look in the inspection hole and see what she looks like. All right, so as you can see, there are 2 different size bolts. Just got to remember when you're putting everything back together that the 2 long ones here go one in the front, one in the back, and the shorter ones go here. So hopefully I remember. If not, I'll have to roll back the video and check it out. Actually, the belt in there doesn't look too bad. Didn't pull everything off. Check it out anyway. But the seals all look good. It's a little muddy in here from our last ride, but the seal looks good. Everything else looks good. So as long as it's still good, I mean, I guess I'll leave it alone, but I do have the new belt to put on, so I'm sure if Noodles was here, he'd be telling me to put the new belt on and call it a day. But he is not here tonight, so we're gonna kind of wing it. All right, so I believe I got all the bolts. I'm gonna grab one of my little pry bars, aka screwdriver, and get this bad girl some off, which she does not. So that's off. Let's see. Alright, so I'm going to play with this for a minute. And alrighty, so as you can see, I got her popped off. On here, there are 2 dowel pins, or guide pins. There's one here towards the rear and one towards the front. So the one back here was fighting me a little bit. Didn't want to come out. The one that's in the front is still down in there in the case, which is fine. I'll put a little grease or something around it to stop it from doing that again. The gasket on there looks fairly decent. I don't see no rips to tears. So I'm gonna kind of leave it alone. That aspect anyway. This belt actually doesn't seem that bad. It's a little, she's got a little play in her, but nothing more than normal. But you can also see here where we're not getting full use of our front clutch. So now I notice there is quite a bit of nasty stuff in here. You can see that stuff. It's not supposed to be in there. You got dirt and all kinds of other stuff. So that's going to rob you of some power. That is not all supposed to be in there. So I'm going to go through and I have to figure out what size nut this is and pull it all apart and clean her up. And hopefully she'll be a little faster. She'll pull a little better. I think I will replace this belt since I'm already in here, as long as the new belt is correct. So, like I said, I'm going to pull this apart and try and clean that up. I got a little bit of brake clean laying around. Use the air gun. But we'll see what we find when we pull this nut off. This is a 32 millimeter. Went through, found the socket, pulled it off. You can see that it's got a little like recess in here. That side goes towards the engine. So I'm gonna see what happens when we pull this bad boy apart. Let's see. Oh yeah. Look at all that. Oop. You do not want to lose those. These are the sliders. So definitely do not want to lose those. So I'm going to bring this bad boy over to the bench and I'll clean her up. So that would be why all these rollers aren't rolling properly. You can see all the nastiness in there. The rollers look all right. Don't seem to have too much wear on them. Maybe I'll buy some new ones. I'm going to leave what's in here for now. But you can tell there's a lot of buildup, a lot of old belt material in here. So I'm she definitely wasn't running full potential. Let's see if we can slide this belt off. We'll compare it to the new one. Alright, so this is the old belt. She doesn't look too worn out. Definitely looks like a decent belt. Hoping these are going to be the same. Yeah, looks about right. Unfortunately, this one doesn't have any numbers left on it to really read. All I can read is $719. Kind of, maybe, sort of. Looks like a 719. The new one's a little bit thicker. You can tell it's going to be better. Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully we don't have the same issue that we had with the Scrambler, where it decided it was going to eat the belt and flip it. So. Show it right in there. Oh yeah, that looks a lot better. Got the same amount of play, but she's definitely, hopefully we'll be able to get all of our, the full use of our full clutch in the front here. I'm hoping anyway. So, I'm going to take this over to the bench, blow it out, clean it up, and using some brake clean on this stuff is not going to hurt. Mostly want to blow it out with air first. Get all these chunks. You could tell somebody destroyed a belt in there at one point in time, but never cleared this stuff out. And you want good smooth surfaces. I'm going to clean up all the rollers. Make sure everything is good. Re-grease this going on there. And we'll be good. Alrighty, so went through, cleaned this all up. She's a lot better now. You see in there, I'm going to say these rollers are probably the originals. They are a little worn out. I'm going to leave them in there for now so I can get it back together. So I still got some yard work to do around the house. So they were working before. I'm sure they'll continue working. I'm going to go through and re-grease up in here so everything slides together nice and easy. Alright, so slide this bad boy back on. So let's get this bad boy back on. Might have to I think I'm gonna have to get this belt down and this pulley a little bit, which is easier said than done. Let me see if we can tap her down in there. Maybe not the ideal tool. But it'll work. Yeah, right. This should be a little better. See if we can get this back girl slide back on. There she is. Get this nut back on here. So we send her on in. Roll it forward, make sure the belt's not pinched. We'll say that's good for now. We'll see. She is cold. Alright, she looks like she's working beautiful. You can see that the belt, instead of coming here, got a good 1/4 of an inch coming up. So she's riding higher than she was, which is a good thing in my book. I'm going to check what the torque specs for this, now that I've ugga-dugga it down quite a bit. Start reassembly and she'll be done for now. So went through, looked online real quick, and kind of gonna have to guess. I did 50 foot-pounds. I saw Polaris does 40. I saw the King Quad does 85, I believe it said. I went with 50. Everything seems tight. I started it up again, ran it through. Everything looks good. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Hopefully, you know, it doesn't come loose. I don't think it should. It didn't seem like it was on there that tight. So I'm going to leave it as it is. So I'm going to go through, do reverse of everything I just did, put the cover on, all the bolts. I did have to loosen the front mount here to get a bolt that's way down in there. So this isn't too hard of a job to go through and replace the belt. A little bit of neglected maintenance on the clutch here. I believe they changed the belt at one point, but never cleaned anything up. They smoked the previous belt, so I don't know how many belts this thing's had on it. But I'm going to do what we did last time. I'm going to save this belt as a spare because you never know. Although that one does look nice and tight. I'm hoping this thing has a little bit more in her when she's riding, but only putting it back together and getting her moving, we'll tell. So, as a side note, because I like to pull things apart and look at different things, this is the old ignition that I pulled off. You can see that these contacts are pretty gross. See if we can get it to focus. There you go. That's going to be good enough. But you can see they're definitely gunk. And this thing is very hard to turn, even with doing it by one hand, but she's definitely stiff inside. You can see on the key that there is some corrosion on the key. And then there's corrosion all down inside the lock. You can see that the slide that comes over to protect anything from getting in there is stuck open. So this one is definitely shot. You can also see here where it looks like somebody might have tried to clean it up with a wire brush at one point in time. This was definitely not a factory original. So somebody at some point in time replaced it. But you can see, I'm not sure if somebody tried to clean it up with a wire brush or if it came like that. But you can see where it's all corroded. The two contacts here are pretty much touching. That's why the power would stay on. So this one is basically junk. But the new key switch is in. Battery's charged up. New belt is on. She starts right up. Key feels 100 times better. When you put her in gear, she moves back and forth. But as you can see, it's a little late tonight to be racing it around the yard. Don't want to disturb the cows. So tomorrow I will pull the old girl out, see how she runs, see if she gets a little bit more takeoff, see if we get a little bit more speed out of her with that new belt. So all in all, nice, easy little maintenance stuff. I do want to replace the rollers, like I said. I believe they're original. They're a little rusty, a little crudded up, but I do want to replace them. So I'm thinking next time I change the belt, I'll buy the rollers. And then, yeah, we'll go from there. All right, so got the Quad Master out in the backyard here. Figure I'll take it for a quick loop down, up, just to make sure everything feels all right. And, yeah. Let's go. Alright, so I will say, she feels like she's got a little bit better pickup. So, I'm going to say that's it for today on the Quad Master. I did go through and drill out these holes here so I could get everything proper. So, drilled it out, tapped them, drilled them out, cleaned up the threads so I could put the bolts back in. Put anti-seize on them so I didn't have to worry about it. If you guys like this kind of content, like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell when we upload new videos, and leave us a comment. And see you next time.